Hi, my name is Andrew Kissel and I work for the Case IH Commercial Training Group. Today we're going to look at a new exciting feature on our 2800 Nutri-Placers, and that is our variety of control options. Today we're going to focus on one in particular, and that is AccuControl. And AccuControl is going to be a great option for customers and operators that are used to the Pro 700. It has the same look and feel, but in addition to the setup, we're also going to look at some of the plumbing and some of the control options. And the best place to start is right here with the rate and section control module. The rate and section control module is really the heart of the system, and as the name would imply, it does both rate and section control. It is a simple product to set up and use, and the serial number is right here. This module is going to be where everything starts, and we need to make sure that this is wired up correctly. There are two connections at the bottom, and there are a couple other connections that feed into it. Make sure these are connected when you start, otherwise it'll seem like the module's there but nothing else is. The rate and section control module might be the heart of the system, but we also have to understand how the plumbing is set up. When we look here, we've got an inline servo-controlled system. Now what does that really mean? We have a supply line that provides product into the control system here. And as we move down the line, we see that we have an inline system that uses a servo to control it. Now there's more than just that here, so let's explain what we see. We've got an accumulator here that has a pressure relief, and what this will serve as is it'll actually work as an agitator when the system gets over a certain pressure. We also have a Raven flow meter, a Raven servo valve, a visual pressure indicator that actually goes up onto the tongue, and then finally our 3 section control valves. Now when we look at our flow meter, there's actually a tag that tells us the calibration number. Now if we recall, this is a Raven flow meter, and the number on the tag is actually 1730. However, since it is a Raven flow meter, we have to divide that number by 10. Raven calibrates their valves differently than we input it into our display, so what we would put in to the Pro 700 is actually 173, not 1730. We've looked at everything on the implement side, and now all we've got to do is plug it into the tractor. It uses the same ISO plug that all your other implements use, and just that simple. It's plug and play and ready to go. Now let's take a look at the Pro 700 and see what it takes to get it set up on the display. When we go to set up our implement in the Pro 700 display, we're going to start off on the main menu screen, and we're going to click on Toolbox. And the Toolbox is where we can control all of our different settings. Once we get into the Toolbox, we want to check a few things. We can scroll to the right and go to the AccuControl tab, and that's where we can verify that AccuControl is installed and that the operation is set to liquid. We can then configure our implement, which we'll call this one a 2800. Once we've named the implement, we can start to go through, and we need to check every menu. The default speed is what the machine will default to if we lose GPS speed. We have two options, a liquid toolbar or a sprayer. This is a toolbar, and we'll go through and select all the options. Hydraulic drive, the type of vehicle that is pulling the implement, how many drive sections, which is one for the one pump that we have, the pump type, how many rows the applicator is. We want to make sure these are all correct because this has a lot to do with the implement performance. 30-inch rows for any of our applicators. The bar distance is very critical. We need to make sure to measure that distance as accurate as possible because that has a lot to do with our section control performance. Our offset is correct, and when we scroll down, rows per section. Now this is rows per drive section. So we have a 12-row bar, and we have one drive section. It will not take one. You put the correct answer in, you see you get a green check. We will also enable liquid prime so we can prime the applicator and get it ready to go. Now, if we have section control valves, which we have 3 on this applicator, we would say yes. We chose one section control module. That's our rate and section control module. And as we see this, we can select the serial number. It's important to always verify the serial number. Rows per output is something that we need to make sure to set correctly. It is a difficult thing to set because what it is asking for is the number of rows that are associated with each of the section control valves. What it is looking for is the total number here to add up to the number of rows. As you see, all these configurations add up to 12, so it gives us a green check. Only the last one you see here is correct. Active on and active off has to do with the way the valve turns on or off, and liquid drive is going to be used to set up the bar itself. Now, this is going to refer to the plumbing. Now remember, we had a servo control valve. We did not have a master valve, so we would select no. Our section off behavior will be lock at last. That gives us better on-row performance. Turn off will actually shut the section control valves off and gives you a safer operation, but not as snappy performance to get on rate. The meter cal is entered here off of the tag that we looked at on the flow meter, and we select no for the pump disarm. And as we scroll down, we see a diagram of the system flow that comes through the pump, through the control valve, into the flow meter, and out to our section control valves. Next, we would say no because we do not have a physical switch box in the cab. We also do not have an implement switch, so we would say no here. Section switch box actually refers to a digital switch box that shows up on the Pro 700 screen. You can choose auto here, and it will automatically populate the cells here to say that each one of those buttons will control one of the sections on the applicator. Once we have all green checks here, we're ready to go